All right, Jason. It's good to see you again. I'm glad you're able to come in.
Thank you, sir.
How's this week been for you?
It's been a little tough. I have to
Yeah,
say, yeah, it's been a little tough.
yeah. Well, last week we talked about how you're having just a really difficult time with confidence
Right.
and being self-assured and uh, and kind of expressing yourself in situations where you feel like you need to have a voice, but you're not able to
Yeah.
come up with the confident tone to be able to stand up for yourself and feel good about yourself. Does that sound about right to what we talked about?
I think it's spot on.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
just the self esteem is just a little bit lower than where you'd like it to be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I'd like to be more assertive,
mm-hmm,
more authoritative, and I like to be able to command respect from people. But when I talk, I think people they don't really care if I'm speaking or not.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
and that takes a toll.
yeah,
I have to
yeah,
say.
yeah. So I don't know if with the worksheet I gave you last week, kind of talked about making judgments and
Right.
How we have a tendency to make an all or nothing claim about ourselves, like I'm either worth something or I'm worth less.
Right. Right.
And that certainly seems to be what I've heard from you. And that's an all or nothing judgment that if your best friend came into you, your little brother, and said that to you, I mean, what would you say? Say, "Yeah, I'm completely worthless. There's no one wants to hear what I have to say." I mean, what would your reaction to them be?
I think I would be like, because like we talked about earlier, I think well, in the last session, I do have a tendency to judge other people. So
Mm-hmm.
like, who do you think you are? You're not any better than I am.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and what makes you qualified to judge me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're worth anything. So
Mm-hmm.
why do you need to judge me? That's probably how
Right.
I react.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. So you kind of see this cycle in this theme of judgment in your life, that it's not just how you're judging yourself and saying that I'm worthless and my voice can't be heard and it's not worth somebody hearing, but you think that of other people too, not just with what they have to say, but um, their value and kind of making these judgments. And we all make judgments. It's how we understand the world.
Right. Yeah.
It's how we categorize and make sense out of things.
That's true.
But when that's all we do, and we're not able to get out of just judging, then it kind of tends to lead us into some of these places that you're in right now.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to have you do this week is I'm going to give you a homework assignment.
Okay.
And what it's meant to do, and this kind of explains a little bit. You could read it, you could not read it. It doesn't matter. But this is for you to take home, and
Okay.
we'll explain it.
All right.
And what I want you to do is just be aware of the judgments that you're making over the course of the week, and you don't need to mark it down. You don't need to write in a diary or journal or anything. You can if you want, if you'd find that helpful. But at this point, I just want you to start trying to be aware of when you make judgments. You're not going to be perfect at this. I'm not expecting you to be perfect at this, but if I know you, it sounds like you're going to probably expect yourself to be perfect at it from the first shot. This is the first step in a process of mindfulness development that this is really going to just help you like you're not going to believe. It's going to be something that when we're done with it, you're going to feel like a completely different person. But the first step is learning to recognize when you make judgments. Now, the trick is to make that realization not only when you make a judgment about others, but about yourself. And it sounds to me that might be a little bit harder for you to do, realizing when you're making a judgment about yourself.
Right.
You know,
That's true.
sometimes it's easier to see, like somebody cuts you off while you're driving down the highway and you think, oh, that jackass.
Yeah.
That's a judgment.
Yeah, I guess it is. I never.
You don't have to feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
I don't want you to make put any value on it at all. I don't want you to feel bad. I don't want you to feel justified. Just be aware of the judgment that you make and say to yourself, that was a judgment, and then move on. So it's kind of like when I'm developing mindfulness, I like to think of things in metaphor. And one of my favorite metaphors, I'm a trout fisherman. I mean, my dad used to go trout fishing all the time, standing in the stream, very peaceful,
Sure.
and leaves would float by. If you think of those judgments as the leaves that float by, I don't want you to pick up every single one of them and stick them in your pocket.
Right.
I want you to just let them keep going. But notice, oh, there goes a judgment. There goes a judgment. So for this next week, that's your homework assignment. And I'm going to ask you when you come back in how it went. I don't want you to think that you need to do 100% at this, but I would like you to make every effort that you can to notice, oh, that's a judgment. Oh, that's a judgment. And if it helps for you to write it down when you make a judgment, then you can do that. Some people just like to make a hash mark, like in a little notebook, and they can make that. And I got some notebooks out front that you can take with you. If you just want to make a conscious effort to say that's a judgment, say it out loud, though. That's the important part. And what this is going to help you do is to start developing an awareness of a behavior that you're wanting to change.
Yeah. Okay.
How's this sound to you?
I think it's doable. I think there always has to be that first step, and I think sometimes now I think about it, we're so quick to get to the finish line, but we hadn't taken the first step.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. It's a great assessment. This is a process, and the first thing that we do is we develop awareness, and that's going to lead to mindfulness, and that's going to lead to your behavior changing. And when your behavior changes, your thought processes are going to change, and you're going to start feeling that confidence that you feel like you're lacking right now.
I think that'd be a good. I'd like to take that first step. I'm telling you, because the way things have been, they're clearly not working.
Yeah. So. Well, we'll take it together. You got your homework assignment for the week. I'm going to ask you about it next week when you come in, and I know you're going to do great at it.
Hey, thanks a lot for your time, Matt.
Yeah, thank you.
It means a lot for you to help me through these times.
Yeah, it's a privilege for me to be here for you. See you next week.
Thank you, Matt.
Mm-hmm.